let's move on and talk. Let's go out west. We are going to bring in national analyst Adam Gorney on the West Coast. So why not talk Oregon, USC? Adam, it was all about the Ducks in the first half. USC definitely fighting. They connected on a few big blows. Then I started the show, and it looks like USC has made a game of this. They've scored in the second half, and they've cut the score to 7 points. What do you think so far?
Yeah, definitely an interesting game. It was kind of back and forth in the first half, settled in the second half as Dan Lanning's defense and Danton Lynn's defense have kind of settled in against those offenses. I think every recruit that's there is intrigued by both teams. Obviously, the Oregon atmosphere is great. Autzen isn't the biggest stadium in the world, but it's so loud and so fun there. But a lot of the kids who are up there too are looking at USC as well. So they get to double dip on this game. A lot of fans think like the outcome of one game matters a whole lot. It really doesn't to recruits. They'll get to see and get a feel for USC on the road. They'll get a real feel for Oregon here. Right now it's 28-21. Oregon is driving.
Yeah. But in a way, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. For 2026, you're right. Probably Hayes in the barn at this point. NIL deals are struck. Guys know where they're going. They got their spots. But when it comes to 2027, there's a lot of USC Oregon battles, and you better believe there's going to be some bragging rights. I mean, for the next year, these coaching staffs get to compare themselves to each other, and they'd rather come out on top. So, speaking of who are some of the 2027 battles? I mean, where are some of these battleground recruitments being laid?
Yeah, and there are definitely interesting ones. Oregon has not had as much success as you almost think that they have in Southern California. They've gone in there for like primo players. Jordan Davison, the freshman running back who's piling up the touchdowns, Mateo, some other very important guys. But in terms of, an entire recruiting class, they've never even had more than 35% in that range of players from California during Dan Lanning's time there. So I think it's a big deal that Lincoln Riley has over 50% of his first class in 5 from more than half from California this year. But there are definitely tons of battles going on. I think Danny Lang will be one, although Ohio State is probably the leader. USC is definitely creeping up there. And then Oregon is right there as well. Josiah Molden, whose brother Elijah played at Washington. He turned down Oregon, Ohio State, Oregon, but again, interested in USC. Toa Satelli, the linebacker from Hawaii, definitely another guy that's looking at both. Caden Henderson, the linebacker from Tampa, was just at USC, and they said he could be their next big-time linebacker, in a school that has had a lot of linebacker tradition over the years. He's at Oregon this weekend. So on and on they go, not only from California kids, but from kids in the Pacific Northwest. And then nationally, there will definitely be some names that both are getting looked at.
Yeah. Let's go back to the state of California. You were able to speak with modern day standouts, Chris Henry Jr. and Caden Dixon Wyatt, both of whom are committed to the Ohio State Buckeyes, both of whom are being recruited by USC and Oregon. USC and Oregon would love to flip either of them, but is there any chance that either of these guys move away from their Ohio State commitments?
Yeah. So Friday was a very interesting day. There was like a lot of news, a lot of rumors, a lot of stuff going on about all these guys. And basically what I did was hit the phones and then hit the road to the Mater Dei game to see exactly what was going on with those guys. And Caden Dixon Wyatt was actually the surprising one after the game, because there was a lot of USC talk. I talked to a really good source on this one who basically was like, USC will not have the money to pay Caden Dixon Wyatt what Ohio State will. But if his mom wants him home, if he wants to stay home, if he wants to be around a lot of his teammates that are committed to USC, they would welcome him with open arms. So after the game, I basically was like, all right, cut it out. It's less than 2 weeks to signing day. Where is everything? And he was like, yeah, it looks like I'm going to sign with Ohio State. Now, was that him pushing us off for the next 10 days so we don't continue to ask what's going on? We'll see. But I got the sense from talking to sources and then talking to Caden that it was like, yeah, he can come if he wants, but you know, we're not going to be able to pay him what Ohio State's going to be able to pay him. So I actually trust Caden Dixon-Wyatt with his word last night. Chris Henry was also interesting. They had lost the game, so you know
Right.
what it's like. It's always tough to talk to kids when they lose a game, especially at the end of their senior years. But
Yeah,
you
their
know, you
high
kind of
school
have to
career
jump into
comes to an end. They don't exactly want to
yeah,
talk
yeah,
too much.
expound on it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Chris Henry was basically like, I'm not talking about recruiting. So whether you interpret that as I'm going to Ohio State, leave me alone, or the reporting that we've had, over the last 24, 48 hours that, his agent is asking for $1.5 million if he's going to flip. And Ohio State is in the $1 million range. So they're trying to get a 50% premium there,
Mm-hmm.
which you could certainly read as, he's going to Ohio State unless someone really comes in with the big McDonald's bag. So it will be interesting down the stretch there because Oregon is definitely trying. I've been told USC is not recruiting him. So that rumor has been laid to rest. And then Texas and possibly Miami are in there. But it does, I might be naive here, a few days out, a week and a half out into signing day, but I did get the sense that both will sign with Ohio State.
Okay. And when it comes to the Oregon Ducks, and they have the most 5-star commitments in the country heading into signing day week. Any chance any of these guys go elsewhere? I mean, we feel good right now about Kendra Harrison. We feel good about Ian Nacho. I guess really,
Yeah.
who does it come down to? Anthony Tank Jones,
Jalen Lott.
Jalen
Yeah.
Lott. Are those really the only two when it comes down the stretch that we're concerned about? Not even, I wouldn't say concerned, but keeping an eye on.
Yeah, watchful, I would say, is a fair word. Ian Nacho's up there again this weekend.
Right.
So I think any, threat there has passed, especially
Yeah,
with
I
Penn
agree.
State not having a coach. He had kind of flirted with Maryland for a little bit. LSU doesn't have a coach. Auburn doesn't have a
Mhm.
coach. I mean, everywhere Oregon, that is a perfect setup for Oregon to keep him in that class. Kendra Harrison was a kid early on who I was like, man, that's an early commitment. We'll see if that sticks. And he's stuck the whole way. Jet Washington seems to be done.
Yeah.
Jalen Lott will be the interesting one. Can Miami swoop in there? Can something be a surprise? And then Tank Jones, can someone come in? Will Auburn hire a coach before signing day? Probably not. We'll see. Can they get in there? Can Alabama make a one final push for him? And like I've said before, the feeling around Tank Jones was that he wanted to stay close to home, that his family wanted him to stay close
Right.
to home. But then again, he has really just sort of expressed interest in Oregon since that commitment on a serious level. So,
Couple visits to Miami, but I feel like that was like in the
yeah,
first quarter of the season, and we haven't really talked too much about it since then.
yeah, and it never really seemed to gain as much traction as maybe some, had thought early in the
Yeah,
season. So, can Miami swoop in late and get Lott and Jones? I wouldn't
sure.
be totally stunned by it, but I would be certainly surprised.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. Well, it looks like Oregon is now up again by 2 scores. So we'll continue to watch this one. We'll continue to talk Oregon recruiting all the way up through signing day. Adam Gorney, thanks for dropping by Recruit Reaction tonight.
All right, Josh, see you, man.
Yeah, we will talk soon. What do you guys think? Oregon fans, USC fans, get in the comments section below. Talk a little recruiting with us.